recording the session.
Start.
Okay. Start. Did you record Steve?
No.
Oh.
All right, so here's the brain. Okay. All right, so boundaries start in the brain, and in particular, the primitive part of the brain. Okay, so in particular is the amygdala system. So the purpose of a boundary, because way back when we were cavemen, the chances of us being eaten were greater, right? So the purpose of our boundary system is safety and protection.
Mm-hmm.
And I do this on a whiteboard for clients so they have a visual. Okay, that's fine for the animal kingdom.
Do you want a whiteboard? It's right there. Okay, whiteboard.
Now we have a more complex brain. We have a limbic system, we have neocortex, and now we have an ego. And now we will do anything to protect that ego, even if it's dysfunctional. The third purpose of the boundary is we're tribal people. It's better to survive in a group than to be a lone wolf. So
We're interdependent.
right, interdependent. So part of our boundary system is we need connection. We seek out
We
people.
need relationships.
And the fourth purpose of the boundary, which people don't talk about, is
Procreation.
No.
Survival.
it's part of our communication process.
Oh, I thought it was about fucking.
That's connection.
This is
so-
going on YouTube. I'm just kidding.
And I go as far as 25%. So we communicate through our words, our tone, our body language, and also through this energetic system that's our boundary. Okay.
You're just really distracting me with this. What is this recorder thing?
It's part of the iPad.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So then I draw this to the client, and I'll say, okay,
Is that the boy or the girl?
doesn't matter. You want me to, here's a boy. So, in quantum physics, everything has an electromagnetic field around it. Okay? So it creates a natural energy field. And I tell people, if you're a body worker, you can call it subtle body energies. If you're out there, you can call it an aura. But the point is, it's an energy field. Okay? So this energy field creates a natural external boundary. External boundaries are about distance and touch, who we allow into our space, who we will keep out of our space. Okay? Makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I say, stand up. So, Jerry, stand up.
No, she's in her jammies.
Yes, I am.
So, okay, stand there, stand back. And I'll say to the client, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk towards you. And there's this magical line that's the edge of your bubble field. And what I want you to notice is as I'm approaching that magical line, what starts happening? Because your body will tell you.
Just hearing about it, I need protection.
Right. Your body will tell you about that. There's some kind of warning system. And then experience that, and then what does it feel like when I'm right here? Okay? Ready?
Mhm.
Okay, uncross. And what is this like?
Really uncomfortable.
Okay, and what do you feel like you want to do?
I want to hit my head and butt you. I can barely breathe.
Okay, and if we were talking about something really important, do you think you could have 100% attention?
No.
Okay.
No, I would want to push you
Okay,
back.
stay right there. Okay. So you automatically wanted to do a defensive response. And so what I would do then is say, simply walking towards her, turn that on.
Well, we know that with my history of work.
Right. But anybody said, most,
Right.
okay. So, and now, and again, I reinforce, okay, do you have 100% attention? No. I'm going into defense. Now, tell me where to stop, where you want to have a conversation with me,
Okay.
okay?
That's good.
Okay? And.
Except I know you so well
I
that I can hug you.
know. Okay, but again, have a conversation. Okay, now let's play with this.
Okay.
Okay, again, pay attention to your body, what you notice, what it feels like, okay, or you experience. Notice the difference?
Mhm.
Okay, and what happens when I move closer?
Well, because it's you, it's okay.
Okay, you know me, but
Mhm.
normally if this.
That would be pretty close.
Okay, and what happens if I'm back here? Again, to have a conversation with me, what would you want to do?
I'd want to move closer to you.
Okay, here we have connection. Okay? Here's the connection. Now, then I tell people, and this is what freaks them out, okay? The norm is arm and leg length. Okay, that's the norm.
For each of us?
Right. In our culture, it's leg or,
So then we're closer than
What-
what our
Right.
culture would be, in
Right.
terms of we both had our arms out.
no, arm or leg. We're within the norm, we're in the leg length. Okay, now, so there's some things around this.
Mhm.
This is rare for people to be face to face.
Okay,
This is heart.
right.
This is vulnerability.
Mhm.
This is intimacy. And this is too much for most people. And what you
Okay.
will notice, what people will do, is what you wanted to do was cross,
Mhm.
okay, hold, or the most common is this.
Mhm. Yeah, turn.
I'm like this. Okay, now, this is what's next freaky. Stand over here.
Okay.
It's this way.
Okay.
Okay? Look how close we are.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Notice the difference?
Mhm.
Well, and what it is our energy field, and this is a Dietrich thing, by the way,
Okay.
is our energy field radiates from front to back. So it
Okay.
waves like this.
Oh, okay. So
Not
that's
side
on
to
the
side.
Okay.
Okay? I have energy, you have energy, and so when I come in, my
Our energy's
energy are
bumping around.
compressing.
Right.
And that creates that kind of ooh,
Mhm.
okay? And that always freaks clients out, right there, when you do this. So, okay, now sit down. So that's external boundaries. Now our internal boundaries is what I call the skin of you. And our internal boundaries is to take care or protect the ego. And our sense of self determines what we will do or not do, how we think, and how we feel about something. Okay? This is based on our history.
Correct.
Our history is based on one, our temperament, just the little personality you're born with. And I
How
say
you're
there,
hardwired.
right, and there's 15 temperaments out there. Tribal, being born in the United States versus Europe, Asia, South America. Being born on the West Coast versus East Coast, Midwest. Urban versus rural. Male or female. So we immediately, when we're born, it's called enculturation, we take on the energy of our environment,
Of our tribe.
of our tribe. Then we're born in our family tribal system,
Our clan.
okay? Going into constellation work. Who we are today, we're a product of 7 generations. And who we are today affects 7 generations in the future. And by the way, the brain research is showing that our brains in the DNA is at least 100 years old. So we're
Deepak
carrying,
Chopra said that we have within us cells from the dirt that Jesus walked on. Because his theory is that it's even longer than
Right.
7 generations.
Right. Well, they did that whole thing with the native that from Africa down to. So anyway, so I tell people, your first breath, you don't have a chance. So
Exactly.
then you start having experiences based on these two things.
Did you put clan in there or family?
Tribal, yeah, tribal context,
Oh.
culture, and family.
Oh, okay.
So family,
And
Cool.
USA.
culture. So this creates your history. Now your history gives you your perception of the world. This is the lens I'm going to see the world in. And because I see the world this way, it determines what I do, how I think, how I feel.
Right?
The same is true for the person here. They also have a history. They also have a perception of the world, which leads to the first rule in boundary work. There's absolutely no way that I can come over here and tell you if you just do this, this, and this, everything is fine. Maybe.
Depends on the history.
Missouri. Also, there's no way I can come to you and say, you should know what I need, what I want, without me telling you.
No matter
Okay.
how good your mind reading
Right.
is.
I was gonna say.
Exactly, that's what I said. So the first rule in boundary work is never assume.
Aha.
Okay? Now, what I'm going to do now, and this is all in the first session, is
Wait a minute.
never
Never
assume.
Okay, yes.
Now, in the first session, I'm telling you what a basic boundary looks like, or why we have boundaries. And now I'm going to show you what dysfunctional boundaries look like. Okay? So the first type of dysfunctional boundaries is having no boundaries, none. Someone with no external boundary is the person that will come up and stand in your space. You take a step back, they come honing in, okay? And the reason why is basically they were taught they had no right to a boundary.
Ooh.
And you could see it culturally. You go to China, a billion and a
that's
half of
amazing.
yeah,
Oh
a
my
billion and a half of people, they have no right to space. So they just don't get it.
So they come up to you this far from your
Right.
face, staring at you. You go to a restaurant, everybody's staring at you. They come up and they'll poke you.
Yeah,
And
they did that with my
push
brother-in-law.
you.
They used to
push you.
Pull your blonde hair.
They
Right.
grabbed his chest hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he had
So-
blonde hair, chest hair.
So
Yeah, unbelievable.
that's someone with no external boundaries. Now, there is an external boundary, and it's more of a violation, is have you ever been with someone that will talk, they leave, and you feel like they just suck the energy out of you? Those are
Vampire.
energy vampires, okay? Now, when you have no internal boundaries, something is said or done, and it comes over, and you immediately react. You react with hurt, disappointment, anger, frustration, anxiety, insecurity,
Rage.
annoyance, rage, unworthiness. Anytime you have these reactive feelings, it's saying you had no internal boundaries. Okay? I call it walking nerve ending.
Ooh.
Okay? The second type of unhealthy boundary is called walls. Do we have a pen, a colored pen by any chance? Okay. Oh, perfect. Is this a pen?
There's more over there. It's a marker like.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, so here we have a wall. It's perfect. Now, and I'll ask a person, okay, do you ever ask them, if someone says, I need a wall, and I'll go, well, what's your wall like? Is it brick? Is it stone? What kind of wall do you have? People,
Board.
people will say, you know, armor, they'll use the word armor, I need a shell. The point is the wall's there because in your early experiences, because you were hurt or traumatized, you developed a wall to protect yourself. Now, walls are not generic. They have an intent and purpose. So we go back to the amygdala. Okay. Remember when I said when we were cave people, the chances of us being eaten were great. So if you saw a saber-toothed tiger, what would you do?
Run.
Okay.
Shoot it.
Shoot it.
Oh. They
Well,
didn't have guns.
Well, it's just one of the two
Only two,
responses.
That's true.
It's one of the three responses.
They didn't have
Right.
guns
Freeze.
back then.
You freeze,
You get eaten.
Freeze.
You run, or
which goes into dissociation. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The next is run, fear,
flee.
and the next one is anger.
Bite back.
I'm going to kill. Now, the amygdala, interesting fact here, is the amygdala does not have the ability to think.
Just
Right.
reacts.
It
It's
just
only
reacts.
reaction.
It's primal. It's in the primitive part. What happens at this point in the brain is the amygdala sends a neural message to the frontal cortex of the brain, which is our executive function. This is where we problem solve. This is where we reason. Now, right now, let's say your neocortex is at a 10. It's fully lit up, it's learning, it's alive. When this reaction happens, it turns it down to a 6 to a 4. Because you're not going to reason with the tiger.
That's for sure.
Okay? So if you're enraged, you're at 0. If you're in a full-blown panic, you're at 0. So I tell people, and then I kind of put in here at this point, I go, when you are in an argument with somebody, what's the purpose?
To win.
To win. Make them understand, to reason with them. And it's very
Get
interesting.
something over.
Right. And the point is, the brain can't do it.
Because it just went down to a 0
Right,
or 2.
right. So I say, when you're upset or mad or with someone, call it what it is, it's a tantrum. Okay. So, now, this is fine for the animal kingdom. Because of we're a complex brain, limbic system, and neocortex, we have developed more sophisticated walls. So we have a wall of insecurity, worry, 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 what if,
Mm-hmm.
a wall of words. I'm going to talk and 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 talk until, and I'm not going to let you in. And I'm not going to even listen to you. Wall of silence, shut down, cold shoulder, I'm not going to respond to you.
Mm-hmm.
Wall of pleasance, I'm going to be sickly sweet to you, but I don't trust you as far as I can throw you.
That's the southern way.
Sarcasm. I'm just going to joke about everything. The point is, the walls are there to protect myself. Now, we are going to get into the element of communication. Okay, true story. This is actually a true story. My best friend in high school. My best friend in high school had a wall of insecurity, which is not uncommon with adolescent girls, but she was pretty extreme. Her thing was, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough, rich enough, popular, smart, whatever. I'm not good enough. And technically, she would have probably been labeled a wallflower. Here again, listen to the language in high school. We went back to the 10-year school reunion, and as an observer watching this, people came up to her, and it wasn't just one or two people, it was repeatedly. People came up and said, you know, in high school I thought you were a snob. End of the evening, she's like flabbergasted. She's like going, what are they talking about? You know, she goes, she was so shy, so insecure. She just wouldn't talk. But yet people came up to her and said this. Okay, this is the energetic dynamic. There's two features here. There's a part in our brain, okay? When you look at an incomplete picture, what does your brain want to do?
Fill it in.
Fill it in. Story with no end. It drives us nuts.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part
Make up something.
This is the part of our brain that needs all the data. This is the why part of the brain. We are creatures that want to have all the variables, paint the picture before we feel comfortable. It's a safety issue. It's in order to feel safe. If I know what I'm dealing with, it's okay. And this is the part of the brain that inhibits us to change, because why would I go to something unknown even though I know what I'm doing is dysfunctional? Okay? So I call this part of the brain needing to complete the picture. Okay. Second component to this. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the mood?
Felt the what? Mood?
Mood.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Meet someone for the first time, you instantly like them, you don't like them. Okay. Dr. Seuss version on energy work. Okay? We have an energy system that acts like a probe. It's constantly scanning the environment all the time. Okay? It's picking up information. So remember when I walked to Jerry Lee, I said, where do you want to have a conversation with me? What happens is her energy and my energy collide,
Yeah.
and we plug in. There's a feedback system on an energetic level of that is gaining information. We're inputting data on a subconscious level. Now, this is what's the cool part. Someone comes in, their energy hits the wall. It can't plug in. All right. I'm missing 25% of the picture.
Ooh.
I have a nagging part in my brain that says I have to complete the picture. Where do I go? I go into my history
Zoom.
and I make up a story.
That's really good.
When you have a wall, you are choosing not to communicate.
Ooh.
And it's in our language. Talking to you is like talking to a wall. Why do I bother talking to you? It's like hitting my head against the wall. Okay. So, now, what starts happening, walls take energy. And people, it's very hard to keep up a wall. So what you get is the walls come down, and because you do not know how to have a healthy boundary, you are now walking nerve ending.
Ooh.
Until you hit it, and then the walls come up, and you start flip-flopping, and this is crazy making. Okay? Now, if two people have walls in a dynamic, you
got
have
lots
a
of
desert.
You have a what?
A desert.
A desert. Oh, I was going to say a lot of crazy making.
You're right.
Bookends.
Bookends. So, walls are unhealthy if you're wanting to communicate. Now, the third type of unhealthy boundaries is called damaged. And there's two parts to damaged. The first part is self-care. If you do not know how to take care of yourself, it is very hard to have boundaries. So, eating healthy. So you're not doing weird blood sugar stuff. Getting quality sleep and and getting good REM. If you're hormonal, PMS, menopause, men PMS too, and when you're in these hormonal states, it's very hard to have boundaries. The next, we won't get into the hormone systems of the
Yeah.
endocrine system, which gets even more out
Crazy.
there.
Yes.
If you're sick or in pain, okay? And then the other side is, are you exercising? Are you getting out in natural light? Do you do meditation or prayer? Are you, surrounding yourself with healthy people in your life? If you're not, it's very hard to have healthy boundaries. The second part of damage is your history. If I was in a room full of people and I told a joke, some will think it's funny, some won't get it, some will be offended by it. It is just a joke. But based on your history, I pushed a button.
Mm.
Well, we saw that yesterday.
Yes. Big time. Okay. So, and then at this point I tell clients, okay, now I'm going to give you an assignment. Between now and our next appointment, I want you to pick 2 days. I prefer a work day and a non-work day. And from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, I want you to log every time you react to something.
Ooh, that's a good
No
assignment.
matter how little, how big, the slow driver, the person on the newscast, I want you to log down all the irritants, all the frustrations. I want you to log this down.
And I have a grid that is a 24-hour clock, and it has, across the other matrix, it has 40 possible reactions,
Ooh.
and then an other.
I like that one. Yeah, because this is hard for people. It's
It is, it's
very
real hard.
extremely
Yeah, it's
hard.
very
They go,
hard, yeah.
well, I didn't have any reactions. Oh, really?
And so they just shade in the box. And
Because
so-
you have the grid with the words already down on it.
Right, and the time is on the y-axis, and so they can shade in increments because it's in the half hours. So
Ooh.
maybe they had the reaction for 2.5 hours, that kind of thing. So they just shade it in.
Ooh.
I want that. Okay, so that's session 1. Session 2 is they come in, and now we're going to talk about healthy boundaries. Okay? So I write down here, okay, do you remember the number 1 boundary rule? They don't. Is
Don't assume.
never assume.
Right.
Okay, now, a healthy boundary gives you the gift of time.
Okay.
With time,
There's a
I
pause.
there's the pause.
The pause of the feedback loop.
I can be proactive instead of reactive.
Ooh.
And if we're activating this, we got to calm it down. Okay? So, here we are. Now, what people fail to realize that words, thoughts, feelings, and beliefs have energetic form. They're energy. Okay?
Looks.
Look. Well, a look has a thought. Okay? So, because of that, a word, and I say this is a totally stupid example, but this is my example. Let's say you say to me, Anna, when you bite your nails, you drive me nuts. Here comes the words, and just like me, remember when I came walking into your space, it's as though I am physically standing in your space.
Mm.
That
Okay.
the words,
The words
the
are
experience
of the words.
the relationship to the words is like you're intruded into the
Right.
space. Okay.
So instead of having them stop right here, where's the edge of
Arm's
my
distance,
field,
right?
they come in. And now they're in my space.
Ah.
And because they're in my space, and if I have to, I'll physically stand there. you go into a defensive response because now you're attacking me. And remember, the second purpose of the boundary is to protect my ego.
Yep.
Okay? And how do I get defensive? Well, the first line of defense is I'm going to blame back. Well, you pick your nose. Okay? And it's the you, always, never, put downs, name calling. The point is I have to one up you. Okay? The second line of defense is to play rescuer. Now I'm going to explain to you why I do what I do. I'm going to justify why I do what I do. Okay? The third line, and this will be the should word in here. Okay? The third line of defense is to play victim. I can't. My favorite is the yes, but I'll try. Okay? And then I can do all of this in the wall of silence and stuff it.
Withhold.
Withhold. And I stuff it in a special place called resentments.
Ooh, that's good.
Okay? Now, and what happens with a stuffer is you stuff and stuff and stuff. It could be 3 months, it could be 15 years, and then all of a sudden it's barfed out. And they bring out the list. Well, 3 years ago you did this. You know, it's like that. All of this is based on that you're attacking who I am. Me.
The ego.
The ego. Now, in order to have a healthy boundary, we gotta take it out of me. And I tell people the rule of thumb is look at behavior. I can work on a behavior, not who I am. Okay? So the second rule in boundary work is don't take it personally.
Sounds like the 4 agreements.
It is. But I tell people to go read it. Now, if that's true, if we're going to take it out of that, then the third rule of thumb is adults don't defend themselves.
Wow.
You don't defend, you don't explain, you don't justify.
So adults take responsibility.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So let's go back down here now. So how do I have this healthy boundary? Well, first you have to know about this energy system. Okay? And I tell people that the only person I know on this at this point on the planet that can exude boundaries is the Dalai Lama. You watch him. He just smiles. Nothing ruffles him. The Red Chinese are invading his country, and what does he say? He goes, let's pray for them. So let's say I have the Dalai Lama boundaries, okay? And because, and granted, he's been taught since birth to do this, so I know I have an energy bubble, okay? So you come to me and you say, Anna, when you bite your nails, you drive me nuts. I know to stop it right here. Just like when Jerry Lee said stop, okay? Because now I have space. I have the pause. And in the pause, I take a deep breath and I ask myself 3 questions. What you're saying to me, is it true? Is it true that when I bite my nails it drives you nuts? And of course the second is that it's not true. Well, first thing, I know something immediately that's not true. What's not true in this? Anna, when you bite your nails, you drive me nuts. What am I not going to take responsibility for?
You going
being
nuts.
nuts.
Right.
I may
Could-
bite my nails,
Right.
however.
The fourth rule is you can't
Make.
make anyone think, feel, do, believe. I choose to think, feel, do, believe. Okay?
That's a biggie.
So-
Yeah, that's huge.
I take the nuts part and let it drop. It's not my issue. I'll take note of it depending on the degree of our relationship. If you're the grocery clerk, all right, but if you're my significant other, I'll take note of it. It's important. Okay? We'll have a discussion. But I'm not going to be responsible for how you feel. That's about you.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Okay? Now, do I bite my nails?
Yes.
Okay, let's say I do bite my nails, and because of the world right now, it's not okay if I have my hands in my mouth with bird flu, swine flu, viruses that are roaming the planet, that if I have my hands in my mouth
It's
and
gross.
and I touch you, touch doorknobs, and it's actually a boundary violation, it's not okay to spread disease. It's a violation. I have to be responsible for that. So now I take this part only and now have it come in and have feelings about it. This is where you have healthy guilt and shame. There is healthy guilt and shame out in the world. The purpose of guilt and shame is to correct. If I am doing something that is against my value system of who I am, I better feel bad about it. And if I feel bad about it, then I need to change it. It's not about me being a bad person. It's about I need to correct this.
It's a behavior.
It's behavior. And that's the motivation. I'm going against a basis of who I am. I better change that. Now, let's say I bit a hangnail and you fly off at me. Well, obviously, this is not true. It's not about me. But how do I approach this with respect? If this is about you and not about me, how do I do this? Well, if I go up here and say, it was only a hangnail, what's the problem? That's a defensive response. Okay? So in order to maintain respect, I have a fifth rule to help me. Everyone has a right to their opinion. Right? This shows respect. So how do I show this respect? You have a right to your opinion, but it's not true. It's not true for me. So what I do is I will say something on a level of, I hear you. Remind you of something? Reflective listening. What I'm doing is becoming a reflector of, I'm reflecting it back to you. I tell, and this is my experience, and when people are able to, this is where miracles happen. It truly is. I mean, and Eckhart Tolle has a passage in his book that is superb to read to this effect. Okay, so someone says, well, I didn't say anything, but the little bubble in my head goes, you jerk. Remember, words, thoughts, and feelings has energy. We're still in the tit for tat of it. So this is how you clean up and not engage in judgment. Okay? Now, remember I said 3 questions. Well, I have a 6 rule here. Unfortunately, 80% of how I walk around on this planet is pretty unconscious. Because it's rare that we're totally in the here and now. We're either worrying about the future or we're drudging up the past. So let's say, and we're not good observers of ourselves. So let's
We're not very
say,
present.
and so let's say I do bite my nails, but I think I do it in the privacy of my home, and you come at me. And all of a sudden I have this, ooh, I don't know. Maybe I do it. So I have a third category which is called questionable. And what I say is I need time. I need an hour, I need 2 hours, I need to go see Anna because this might be some of my childhood issues coming up here. But I need time in order to be proactive and make decisions whether what's true and not true for me. I need distance. And then, as I'm doing the distance, I'm getting reality checks.
That's good.
I'm asking my best friend, do you see me doing this? I go to a therapist, whatever I'm doing, I'm getting these reality checks to make sure of what is going on here. Okay. Now, this is basically the boundary protocol. Now, it is easier said than done. The fact is, because we don't know how to hold a healthy boundary bubble, we get triggered. Okay, so how do we move through this? And this is just something that I discovered. I found, this is my process of how I did this. Okay, I knew I got triggered. I was still pinballing all around, like, oh fuck, what's going on, and blah, 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 you know. And so what I did is I started writing. And I got into, this is what happened, and this is how I feel, and poor me, and I got in what I call the child response. You know, I barfed it all out. And around 10 or 15 minutes, I wrote, stop. Breathe. Start breathing, bring the amygdala down. Now, then I wrote, what am I assuming?
Oh, good. Yep.
And then, because the point I got triggered is I'm taking it personally. I got defensive, and now I got to stop and take responsibility for my part in this. And that, and in the act of writing was a way of putting it outside me. It's a boundary. It was very symbolic for me.
That's cool.
Now, I'm pretty good at it, except for last night.
She didn't pass last night. Had a hiccup there.
Of when I get triggered, I know, because your body knows before your head does. My body responds like that. And when you tune into it, you go, oh, I just lost my boundaries. Start breathing.
Boundaries last night?
Oh, I lost them. I lost my boundaries, but I got into this.
Blame?
I got into the blame.
Oh.
I was attacking.
Oh, okay.
So, do you see what I was doing? Well, actually, this is satir stuff. And this is called the drama triangle.
Ooh.
This is Virginia satir.
Satir.
Yeah. So you can play blamer, rescuer, victim. So then, you know, it's like, okay, I'm going to breathe this through, pull it out, okay, and I always do this. I'm going, what am I assuming right now? And this is great with couples, and you know, it's like, what are you assuming?
I was glad to see that you had such a good response from the class. People wanting to know it. You had a lot of people there.
So this is what and then I give them, I'm going to give you this, Now I want you to make 10 copies. I want you to put them everywhere. And so and what the light does is from the trigger lock, this is what we're going to work on. Because this is the week, I always want to deal with something in the present. Okay, and then we'll start doing it. And I'll use the boundary language with them. I'll keep going, okay, what are you assuming by that? Obviously you took this personally. Where in your system did that, and then, okay, later on, I'll write about, okay, so I'll say, here you are, and as you were growing up, you developed ruptures. So in this rupture is, let's say, I'm not good enough. So anything that comes into my life, because in energy or in spirit, like attracts like. So I'm not good enough, and who do I meet but someone that will abuse me? To reinforce I'm not good enough. It comes right
To provide
in.
the evidence.
Right.
That statement is true.
True. Even though I'm an asshole, I will continually find someone to reinforce I'm not good enough. Okay, like attracts like. Now, and then I'll go into, and then this is actually Carolyn Mace stuff. Okay, Carolyn Mace is the medical intuit. You know who she is? Okay. She works with Norm Shealy. He's a neurosurgeon in the Midwest. She can look at you and at a 99% accuracy diagnose you.
Oh.
And what she could see as she's looking at you, oh, you have liver issues. Let's say, okay, here's your liver.
That's because I'm having a drink.
Okay.
Thanks.
Oh, I didn't mean that. I just... What she saw was from the liver, energetically, it was attached to someone or a situation that was draining the energy. It was like a negative belief.
Ooh.
And so what she talked about, and this is a good one for people, is I say, okay, let's say you get, because people relate to money, let's say you get $100 a day in energy. This energy is your divine right. Everybody gets it. It's the same amount for everyone. No one gets more, no one gets less. Everybody gets $100 a day. And in that $100 of that day, that's to maintain you physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually for energy groups. Now, anytime you have a rupture or you react to something, you're losing energy. That's the negative energy thing. So let's say I get up 10 minutes late in the morning and I get into a little panic. Let's say that's $5. Okay? Now, because I woke up 10 minutes late, I skip breakfast. Okay, here's another $5. I get in the car and I hit every fucking red light to work. Okay? Oh, that's maybe $15. And then I get behind a slow driver. Okay? Throughout the day, I'm going in this reactive mode. I'm losing energy all day long. And then let's say by the end of the day, I've spent $125
Of energy.
Now, tomorrow morning, I get my $100, but because I was $25 in debt, I'm at $75. In our youth, we can handle it.
But not now.
Right. Around 35, it's your biology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Type 2 diabetes, heart disease, whatever. And so I tell people, when you react, is it worth it?
Oh, that's good.
Is this, let's work through that trigger and get rid of it, because as you allow these ruptures over time, it's going to make you sick. And that, I think, was his whole thing this weekend. The stress component will make you sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so this is how I teach the
So are you a
boundary.
juvenile diabetic?
No.
You're a type 2?
Well, it started type 2. He says it's going into type 1.
Wow.
But I think it's related to stress to this test.
Mhm.
And I'm spending a lot of money.
So yeah, so anyway, so when I continually talk about boundaries, and then the light helps reinforce it, and they'll go, well, your guy tonight, I would just go, What are you assuming? Is it true?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wanted to hear about what happened to him.
Oh, so anyway, this is my boundary stuff.
Very good.
Yay.
Excellente.